Hi, Peter Lundqvist here. I'm going to present something about Haddon. You might have heard about him. I'll try to look at the aspects of agricultural child safety and how parents can use Haddon's principle when they think and discuss about their children on the farm. I'll go to the next. Well, the farm is not only a workplace, it's a home as well. And it's an industry with a lot of injuries and diseases that can be quite dangerous. And on the farm family, the children grow up and spend a lot of their time during many years. And if you want to provide a farm that is safe and healthy for the children, that needs to put a lot of pressure on the parents and other adults, combined with the pressure of all other stress and demands you have as a farmer or a farm family. And in the old days, it was quite different. You had much more people around on a farm, and it was they could keep an eye on the children. Mechanization was small scale and maybe less stressful work as well during that period of time. As today it's large scale things, it's fast, large machinery and everything. So it looks great to be around animals and be on a farm. And this is a view of cows I pass by every second day when I go on a daily walk. This is the animals belong to the university farm, and you can see the water in the back, and behind that you have Copenhagen at the distance. Modern time, but all principles are still useful for farm children. Yeah, parents on the farm must be flexible and apply different type of strategies over time to provide the best possible security for children, I think. And one way to use different strategies around the kitchen table is where we often discuss or need to discuss health and safety for your kids. Is maybe to discuss around Haddon's 10 principles whenever possible and needed. And depending on the farm type, location and situation, adults on the farm, how many there are and what situation is, the age of the children and how mature they are. Every child is different, but don't overestimate them. Parents need to discuss and use a number of possible strategies. And I'd like to bring up that as a upcoming way of dealing with these issues. One of the presentations said there are 10 principles, and these are one of the two in the beginning, and he brings up in the Haddon. One is to eliminate the danger. And you can discuss about, can you take, they have dangers on the farm. What can you do about it? Is it possible to make a farm child safe? You can take away dangers, or you can do different strategies. I know a long time ago, I think it was in the 80s, there was a Norwegian woman. She wrote a book about how to make your farm child safe. And she had that principle because she thought that if we make the farm child safe everywhere, we also make it safe for the adults, but it's a good strategy to try to go through the whole farm and say, is it safe enough for the children to be here, and try to do. So if you can make it safe for the children by eliminating the danger, you can also separate this risk in different ways. Maybe if you bring small kids, maybe it can be taken off the farm. You can organize daycare on the farm or somewhere else. You can have the children in preschool or other options away from the farm. Then you have separated the kids from the farm. So it's a matter of, is it possible to keep your small children safe on farm? If not, you need to think about other solutions. Because they are so vulnerable when they are small. So we really have to think about, what are my options and what can we do? Can we do together solutions together with other farm families? Isolate the risks. I think that's a very, very interesting way of dealing with it. You can build a safe, separated playground on the farm and have the small kids be there, and it's be attractive. It has to be a fun, really fun place, so the kids, they really like to be there, and make it attractive in different way. You can bring different things there to make it attractive, but don't have, so it could be close to the house where they live, not, they don't have, so they don't have to go across dangerous areas to get to the playground. So it has to be close to the home where they live, the house where they live. I also like really the principle of organizing the farm into a principle that we have where we live, in the house we live, we have a relaxing place. It's where the farm family relax, and it's safe and good for the family to be, and for the small children. And then maybe we should have a fence, or if you don't have a fence, maybe in your imagination you have to have like a fence to the real farm, to the farm and the workplace, where you have to act professional. That's the workplace, and there we have rules for the grown-ups, and we have rules for the kids if they should be around. So I mean, that's a way of thinking. Can we create a safe and relaxing home, and can we have a professional workplace where we have a farm? Not easy to achieve, but I know parents who think in those ways and try to do it. You can also modify the risk. Maybe they don't have to be exposed to large machinery when they grow up. Many farmers, farm families, they want their kids to be around and be attracted to machinery and use ATVs or quad bikes or so on. But if you let them do that, you have to think about, maybe we should adapt it to a small child-safe size ATV, and have constant monitoring them when they are using them. So you modify the risk. Instead of letting them drive a large ATV on their own, you have to modify, make it less risky. Or maybe you should also let them, if you involve children in using, when they work with animals, maybe they should work with the smaller animals in situations where they're not exposed to the large, heavy, dangerous animals. They should maybe be with around the calves and the chickens or rabbits or whatever you have on the farm, instead of being exposed to large cattle and big swines and things like that. And you should, of course, have the right equipment. That goes also for children. I mean, have the right type of clothing. So you have a right, as you should have as a grown-up, you should have the right type of clothing. So when you work around animals or you help out, there are excellent and really tough clothing to buy for children as well, that are make them safe instead of playing around, being around in their ordinary clothes. And also, if you bring them into areas where you have a noise exposure or other type of things that can be harmful for their health, it's important to adapt the right type of personal protective equipment. We have here, like they have hearing protectors with child safe and so. And maybe I don't like to have. You should not bring kids in the tractor at all when they're small. That's my opinion. But a lot of farmers, they have child seats in their tractors, and they have them sitting there and put hearing protectors on them. They try to be safe, but that's up to the parents to decide. But I wouldn't recommend it. But if you bring them, see that they are protected. And you can, of course, also work to give them training and trying to instruct them in different ways. You should try to do an evaluation of what type of work or simple chores they can do depending on their age and strength and maturity. Guidelines may support in different ways, and you know that we have had North American guidelines from Marshfield and developed there, and we have made also a Swedish version of that for children on animal farms and in horticulture. So we think it's a good idea to give guidelines and have to discuss around the table. And maybe also we can think about that maybe many parents, they are worried about that children, they lose their interest if they don't be around farming. But I think you can create a lot of interest by other ways in low scale in a different way. Maybe you can have them grow their own vegetables, maybe even have a small greenhouse. This is myself. When I was a kid, I had a greenhouse growing my cucumbers and tomatoes and things like that. So I thought that was a fantastic thing to grow your in things and could see the outcome of your own growing experiences. So that made me happy. I wasn't involved in so many tractor driving and so on when I was a small kid. You can also let them have like a small chickens or producing eggs to the family or something. I mean, you can be creative and letting them run small business on their own instead of having them do the large scale dangerous things on the farm. I think that's a way of getting their attention and make them happy about being involved in agriculture and horticulture. And then, of course, you can think about other aspects we can do. You can warn things inform and warn your children. That's when they're getting a little bit older. You can, of course, tell them that you have to be aware around those cattle, so you are not allowed to be there in different places and so on the farm. I mean, you can learn them, and that often works well, at least when they're your own children. The problem is when there come other children on the farm. So, but warning and discussing with them about the dangers and what they're not allowed to do, that's of course one strategy. And then you can also have other types of monitoring and controlling your kids. Small kids, maybe you can trust them that they stay where you are putting them, or tell them they are not allowed to do. And I know that there are ideas and solutions with monitoring your kids. You put them on the small GPS on them, so you can see where your child is moving around, and if they go for more than like a certain distance from their home or from where they live, there will be a signal telling the parents that, well, now your little kid had run away from home, so you have better hurry and get him. So, I mean, there are technologies to trying to help you out and look for your kids. That's another way of thinking. And of course, this is not what you want to think about, but you have to be prepared in a dangerous place, as a farm could be, in different ways, both when it comes to injuries and other type of health-related issues. You have to be prepared, and maybe you should be more educated and learn about how to give first aid and what to do if your child and others on the farm, of course, being exposed to some kind of danger and if they have an injury or other type of incident that's dangerous for their health. So be prepared. And of course, if you had an injury or we have other problems like a disability or something, or illness or something else, you have to maybe think about how you can adapt your farm and make it the farm a good place, or also for a child that don't have everything 100% functioning in a normal way. I mean, farm could be a great place for any kids at any age, but make it special for your own kids. That's the way I want it to be. So I think the message is quite clear. A farm can be a great place to grow up, but parents needs to be one step ahead and discuss together what can be our strategies would be for their children on their own farm. What is the best for our family? And I say, as I've said so many times, that the farm, the best place to grow up if you survive. This is me with Anna giving the animal feed when I was like, I think 4 years old. And I went sometimes to the local doctor, and he said, Peter, you've been around too many times. I don't want to see you anymore. And I told him, as my mother said, I don't want to see you either. So I hope your children don't have to go to the doctor for an injury on your farm. Thank you.